The eAssist Dental Solutions podcast. We are the nation's leader in outsourced dental billing. Our clients require highly skilled dental office managers that can consult with client offices.
Welcome to the eAssist Dental Solutions podcast. I am your host, Andres Quintana, and I am here in the Raleigh area of North Carolina with a special guest tonight, and I'll tell you a little bit more about her in just a moment, but I just want to remind everybody that we are so blessed to have eAssist as an organization that not only provides for everybody that is a member associated with eAssist, but to also be connected to a company that has earned, for the second year in a row, the 500 list of fastest growing companies in America. So with that, I just want to go ahead and introduce our special guest, and she is one of the newest members of eAssist, just got a promotion to account executive, and her name is Belinda Melvin. Hello, Belinda. How are you today?
Thank you. How are you, Andreas? Thank you for having me.
Yes, I hope that introduction was good. I got to speak with you about a week and a half ago, right? And
yes, that is correct.
Yeah, I'm so excited that you put your information in for being on the show. And you are probably one of the newest members of eAssist, okay? But let's get something straight. I think you come with a lot of experience. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself and your experience?
Oh, wow. I started in dentistry my last year in high school, and I think it was 1989. So I have years of experience from four-handed dentistry, assisting, insurance, managing, treatment plan coordinator, Profi queen, if you will. So I've worn many a hats in the dental field. So and I love everything there is about dentistry. I've actually wanted to major in psychology, but when you think about it, the two go hand in hand. So with building patient rapport, not only building patient rapport, but building that type of close-knit relationship with your team members. So I've been actually very blessed to have stayed in the field as long as I've been in the field.
That's great. That's great. And like I always do for almost every interview, almost the same format, that I would like to also learn before we get into the claims that everything that everyone is excited about. Tell me a little bit about how eAssist has changed your life.
Oh, wow. Where do I begin? It has opened so many doors. In the short time that I've been with the company, I was unfortunately laid off with the previous practice that I worked for of 13 years, and I was devastated, and I didn't know which direction to take. So I continued to Google remote work because that's what I did. I actually teleworked 3 days a week and remote work 2 days a week. So and I said, it has to be something out there. And I stumbled across the website Flex Jobs. And I said, what is this? So I opened it up, read it, and I said, oh, this is some fly-by-night company. And, I'm not even interested. So, but in the meantime, something told me to save it on my cell phone. So I saved it, and I went back to it. And there was eAssist. So I clicked on Apply Now. And the rest is history. And let me tell you what, in the very beginning, I got a little discouraged because of the vetting process and all the training. I'm like, oh, my goodness, is anything going to come of this? But as soon as I completed the vetting process, it was like the floodgate opened. It was one contract after another. eAssist has allowed me to stay home and homeschool my youngest two boys. Which I am the most proud of that. And it's allowed me to be able to travel, which I never did before. The training was phenomenal. I can go on and on and on, but I don't think you have enough tape for that. So I will.
Well, it makes me want to leave the podcast and go over and become an account executive.
Well, maybe yeah.
Oh gosh, it sounds so great. Well, that was a perfect lead in into
Yes.
moving into the dental claims that I would like to talk about tonight because we want to talk about this company being the largest national dental insurance billing service company in the United States.
Yes.
Okay, it's
Yes.
also certified for medical claims billing services. It has dental accounting services built in for all the dentists, and the dental insurance verification service. It just has a lot of services to offer.
It really does. It's like a one-stop shop, if you will. I had envisioned something like this back in 2004, and I had mentioned it to my previous employer, and I said, "Hey, why don't we take the busy work out of the office?"
Mm-hmm.
And he was just like, "What?" And he's like, "Oh, that's going to cost too much money." But we all know that in business, you have to spend money to make money. And here, fast forwarding years later, this is where we are, and I'm a part of that. So it's just it's an honor for me, really. It truly is. So to be part of a prestigious company that actually care about people.
Yes.
You have some companies that, they're big and you can be a part, but, this company, as I've seen since I've been with the company, takes care of its team players. I'm not going to say it's staff because staff, I associate that with staff of the caucus, with the D's, but we're a team. We're not staff. So it's an honor to be part of such a great team. It really is.
Yeah. And when you say care about people, the audience out there listening, we're so grateful for you to join us. Without you, this podcast wouldn't be what it is. You just go back to episode 19. We just had Dr. Anderson on. And I loved it because when I asked him why he created eAssist, he talks about that he wanted to solve the problem that he personally had experienced. And he knows that so many offices experience these problems. And so he just basically wanted to solve that problems that has to do with accounts receivables. Because insurance claims, correct me if I'm wrong, it represents probably 50% of collections or more. Would that be a fair number?
That would be a fair number, maybe even a lowball number, if you will, especially if the dental practice is an insurance-driven dental practice. And with that, it's, I'm actually glad that he started the company because I was actually one of those drowning office managers that needed help. And I know that with him, it was completely different because of the office manager situation. And, my former employer, he relied heavily on me. And as I stated earlier in the conversation, I didn't really take off a lot of time because it was tag, I was it. I wore many hats. So, and no one knew my job. And it was, just one of those situations where, I always felt guilty if I needed to call in, call out. So, it's, I'm glad that he started the company to offer the assistance to dental practices. Even if the office managers are there, they still need help. If they should leave and go on vacation or take maternity leave, they can leave and have peace of mind. Wow. Knowing that the job is still going to get done. And so I think that it's wonderful.
I am glad that you mentioned that because that was going to be one of my questions for you, but I want to go right to that one. I want to stay with that topic because it takes so much time to do it all in a dental office. Then it also takes, it is so hard, I should say, for dental managers to get time off, just like you said. So what I want to do, I want you to take our audience into a dental office for a day here. Okay, we're going to role play. And tell me what you went through as a manager, the steps when you first got in there, what it takes, and let's make it more specific to dental claims, like what it takes to produce great claims that have all the documentation that you need to get a crown, a bridge, an implant, a big case paid in time?
Well, it takes, I would say, experience. You can have training. There's a difference between training and experience. You can hand someone a textbook and say, you need to learn these codes. You need to, learn the descriptors,
Right.
and they can submit the claims, and you can give them cheat sheets. But when the insurance company on the receiving end, they say, no, we're not going to pay the claim, even though your claims were submitted clean. It doesn't matter if you have the training. What matters is if you have the experience, because now you need to be able to speak to that denial to say whether or not to get the insurance company to pay the claim. A lot goes into that. But as an office manager, time, we're always against the clock, just as dentists are. Everyone in the dental office, we're against the clock every single day. And when you're being pulled in different directions, it makes it very difficult to be efficient, in your with your work. And, we're all human and we're going to make mistakes. So when you wear many hats in a dental practice as an office manager, usually, those denied claims just kind of get pushed to the side, and you're like, I'm going to work on that later. Later never comes. And what happens, unfortunately,
I'm getting excited. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what happens, actually, you either run into a risk of the claim filing deadline has expired, and now you're like, oh my goodness, do I bill my patient for this? And the insurance company would have, if they would have potentially paid for this, and or the office manager goes to the dentist, explains the scenario, and he says, well, just see what they would have paid, credit the patient's account, and so you take a hit. So you take a loss. So it's one of those situations where office managers, if they should just reach out and say, hey, listen, I'm overwhelmed, I need some help, and do the research, and hopefully they'll find e-assist, because that's what we're here for.
You have just hit a home run, Belinda, because I know that you've listened to the podcast and you have the idea of the questions that I come up with every week. But that role-playing session was unscripted. You hit every single aspect of what I wanted you to talk about, because the other element of that is that when these things pile up, when it's done incorrectly, when you've got to touch it, 2 or 3 times, then the frustration of the doctor sets in. And that is because we've got to make payroll, right? We've got to give bonuses. Yes. We've got to do all these things that takes productivity and it takes cash flow to be able to have a healthy environment that people want to work in, because employees are being taken care of. But when all this frustration is going on and the accounts receivables is hurting, the company just doesn't feel good about how they're handling finances. And employees, they are smart. They know they can pick up on stress. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, I tell you, what happens, a lot of times the dentists, they get a bad rap. If it's he or she, they have an attitude and I can't work with him or her. Well, when you take yourself outside the situation and you really look at things for what they are, they have a right to have that type of stress.
Absolutely.
Because because when we're dealing with money is a very delicate subject. They still need to run a business. And if the money's not coming in, then they have every right to be upset. One thing that I've always done is I always say, it's not me, it's the situation. And I always look at the situation first. So with that, the stress level is high. It's high for everybody because, the dentists, they're the leaders of the practice. Attitude reflects leadership. So if you're my leader, and if every time I come to you, you have attitude and you're in a bad mood, then it's going to bounce off on me somewhat. So and the rest of the team members. But at the end of the day, everyone needs to understand that, there's a job that needs to be done.
Right.
And that's why you should have the morning huddle meetings to discuss things of this nature. That's why it's important to listen to your team members when they're reaching out to you for help, because one person can't do it all. Even though you have some dynamite office managers out there who will run circles around 3 and 4 people. However, there comes a time when they get really stressed and they're like, I'm tired. But at that time, it's like they don't have anybody else to go to get the work done. So they just continue to take it. And before you know it, they either say, I'm leaving, it's too much work, too much stress. I'm going to look for something less stressful. And all that could have been prevented had, one, either they spoken up, and two, the dentist listened.
Wow. Yeah. They're running on fumes.
Right.
And you, again, thank you for that, because what I have to go back to what you said about dentists, I totally agree with you. They're great people. They're human beings that work so hard, the stress level. They're also very, very good with their hands, right? And then they have to be very good with numbers too. And, they have these medical procedures that they have to perform. I know there are a lot of cases where dentists can probably do with their eyes closed, but there are a lot of cases that are really involved. And so if the dentist is going to be able to provide great care to the patient, a great environment to the employee, all things have to really work for them. They have to produce. The profit has to be there, because when it is there, they do what's right. They take good care of the team, and they take good care of the patient. And so I am so happy. Yes, I'm so happy that eAssist is around, because that's where we're going to shift everything now to. I want you to make that point you were going to make, and then we're going to shift a little bit, because I'm really happy about this conversation.
Well, I think that the dentists, they want to focus on dentistry. They want to focus on that patient at that particular time. How can I treat this patient? What options can I give this patient for the treatment that they need? And when they can focus and they don't have the stress of, the accounts receivables not coming in, and, then it's a win-win for everybody. So everyone has to do their part in order to make things work in the dental practice. And it comes across also as a patient when you're walking into a dental practice. Patients know, your longtime patients know, and they can pick up on things. Even new patients, they know. So it's very important that that negativity doesn't spill across your reception area into, to your new patients or even your existing patients. So we just really need to be mindful. And if it's, and if you're feeling any type of stress, just reach out and say, hey, listen, we need to have a quick meeting. And, and it's a meeting to discuss a plan, not a meeting to discuss just the problems. But whenever you have a meeting, just always know that, if there's a problem, you need to have a solution behind it as well. So I think that's very important.
Now, you perfect lead into what we're going to discuss next, which is, here comes eAssist. Okay. eAssist will solve these issues. Okay. When you bring eAssist into the mix, then all of these issues that we talked about, we took the long way home, like that's, like that song says, that song from the 70s, take the long way home. And we kind of talked about all the issues, but when eAssist comes in, they have technology, they get right in, they have team members all around the United States. Okay. In every state, they have somebody. If you don't have the answer, someone will. They take over completely. And you know what happens next, Belinda? Then the dental team can focus on the patient. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, the patient, as we all know, and I'm quite sure the patients pay our salaries.
Correct.
So it doesn't come from the dentist. It doesn't come from his pocket. And if it does come from the dentist, then there's a problem. But the patients pay our salaries. We should always treat people the way we want to be treated, the way we want our family members to be treated. It's very, very important that you give that patient at that time, your undivided attention. Nothing else is priority unless, you've got to call 911 because someone's passed out. But other than that patient, that paying patient deserves your attention, regardless of how many questions he or she may have. Every question is an important question. And you want them to feel as though when they leave that you want to wow them, so that when they leave, they want to tell their friends about you, tell their family members about you and the wonderful experience that they've experienced. So it's very, very important that, dental practices, the team members and the dentists, that they take care of their patients. And I know that's what they want to do. But when you get so busy, sometimes you're going to miss something. And sometimes giving that patient the undivided attention gets missed. Mm-hmm. And all it takes is one time.
Right.
One time. So with eAssist, now eAssist allows the team members to be able to do just that.
I have to agree with you, because if you want great Google reviews, if you want great Facebook reviews, there's one simple solution to providing that for your office. And that is, you got to give your team the time to provide the good service. Okay, it's when they don't have the time to give good service. It's when they don't have time to give, Mrs. Jones a big hug and talk about the family and being able to answer every phone call on time and being able to spend time with the patient on the phone. Almost, you're selling the office. You're representing the office on the phone. I have actually had patients that come in because of the time that I take on the phone to answer every single question without rushing them off. The solution,
Exactly.
Thank you. The solution is you give your staff the time. How do you do that? This is perfect. You outsource. And where do you outsource? You don't want to take a company that is, hasn't proven itself. This is why we ourselves, we're a client as well. This is why Dr. Quintana made the decision to go with eAssist. What are your thoughts?
Well, my biggest thing is, I'm glad that Dr. Quintana outsourced and, has a contract with eAssist, because a lot of times as an office manager, we would have companies, or I would have companies to approach me, and they would want to take on the billing for us. But my biggest thing was, do you have anyone with a dental background?
Right.
And it was no. So how can you speak to my patients about about their accounts and their insurance and the treatments when and bottom line is it's all about numbers. Well, in dentistry, it is about numbers and it isn't. You need for someone to be able to speak to what they've had done, what the insurance company paid, what they did not pay. And I think that that's very important, in a dental practice. So, I tell you, it's just Dr. Anderson was just spot on, because a lot of the things that I was thinking years ago, fast forwarding now, I'm just like, wow, it's almost as if I saw a vision and now I'm seeing it into fruition. And it's just like, oh my goodness, I can't believe it. So it's, it's awesome. It's just awesome.
So we have talked about so many things. We have talked about all of the, the money, the accounts receivables, how it's going through the roof. Okay, we have talked about not having enough time to do it all as a dental team, and then when the doctor puts one person in charge, because that's really what happens. You have your office manager who has to own everything and feels all this burden and responsibilities because oftentimes they don't even have time to train people properly. And then
exactly,
when you combine those three things, there are more things, of course, Belinda. There are more issues than those three things, right? But when you combine
yes,
those issues, then you have patients leaving your office, and that just
right,
can't happen. And a lot of those
right,
times, the doctor is back there providing for the office, making things happen to make sure that everyone's got a job, and they don't even know what's going on, which is pretty sad.
exactly.
It's very
Yeah, it
sad.
really is. Yeah, and a lot of times like I said, sometimes it takes like one time that patient comes in and things are so chaotic. Sometimes it only takes one time. You can have a new patient to come in and they walk into, a mess.
Right.
And that's all it takes.
And that's all.
I mean, I'm a prime example. I've jumped around from medical practices and what have you in dental practices because I got a bad vibe.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, something's not right. And the people seem like they're all over the place. They don't know what's going on. The doctor has an attitude. He or she may have been snippy with, one of the team members, or, they rush the patient out the door without explaining everything in full. No patient education. It's just, that will make or break your practice. And that you can't have that.
And what makes that happen is, again, we go back to the time that eAssist gives you, not having enough time to wow your patients. eAssist gives it back to you. So we're going to let everybody know how to get in touch with eAssist. We got a wonderful, very informative website, dentalbilling.com or eassist.com. Our phone number is 844-327-7478. Well, I've got a very important question to ask you. We're nearing the end of the show, and this has been so awesome because I didn't even know we had been on the line this long. This has been really quite an episode. So thank you, thank you.
My nickname was Chatty Cathy. They're like, okay, there she goes again.
Yeah,
and I'm like, give me my time.
But you've really, I've really enjoyed you because you've knocked everything out of the park, and I really appreciate you for that.
Thank you,
I got
Andres.
one more.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Yes,
I've got one more thing. It's a two-part question here. So, how do you think that at the end of each day, when you reflect back on your day, that you feel that you've made an office really successful? And then the second part of that question is, without mentioning any names about details about the office, do you have a story about how you've helped an office turn it around?
Wow. I'll start with the first question. At the end of the day, how do I feel? Because I was on the other side, I get it. I understand and I get it. So when I sit at my desk, I make sure that I give 110% every day. From communicating with the dental practice to, making sure that I put notes where they can see exactly what's going on if they should need to research anything by making myself available. But I strive every day to be more efficient in my work because I get it. I understand. So when I do turn off my computer, when I turn it off, I know that I've given them everything that I have. So it's not one of those things where I just open it up, do a couple of claims or post a couple of insurance checks really quick, and then I'm done. That's not the case. When I sit down, as my husband would say, whenever you put your hands on it, you don't take it off until you're finished. And I don't. So that's just me. And, my biggest reward is when I know that the patients are, satisfied, the dentist is satisfied, the staff members that they're satisfied. Dentistry, that's my passion. And I know that when you have a passion, you really don't have to work at it. It just comes, it comes natural. So, but like I said, I put my hands on it and I don't take them off until I'm finished. So that's when I know. When I close my computer, I know. If my computer is still open, there's a problem.
Yes.
With the second question,
And I know it's been a short time, but you've had to have smelled some success.
Yeah, we've closed with one office, and I tell you, I was an account manager for this office, and the account executive, she sent me an email tonight, and she was like, "Hey, this is what we did for the month," and I was like, "Oh my goodness." And to see where the totals were when I started to where they are now,
nice.
I was just like, wow, we did it, in a short period of time. I was just like, OMG, because we only had the account for 27, 28 days. They had hired someone in-house. So, but still during that time, like I said, I put my hands on it and didn't take my hands off until I was satisfied with it. And even though we knew we were losing the account, so we're not losing the account, but they just, changed their minds. And which is fine, change is always good for lots of people, it's only constant in life. So with that, I was very proud when she sent me the end of the month report for the 3 weeks that we had the account. I was just like, OMG. And so I'm very happy with that. I couldn't be more proud of the accomplishments that we made together. And like I said, it wasn't just me, it was my team. Yes. So I learned a long time ago, there's no I in team. Someone sent me a Slack message that said, yeah, but there's a me in team, but that's bad grammar when you say me did it. No
That's
one
right.
said that. So.
Love it. Oh, wow.
No one says me did it. So
yeah,
but,
good stuff. Good stuff, Belinda.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, great story there. Great story. And, again, visit the website at eassist.com. If you want a strategy on how to save time and money, and you want to eliminate all of the issues that don't belong in the day-to-day operation, you've got to give eAssist a call. Belinda, I just want to thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you, Andreas. Thank you so very much. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really did.
Yes, you took time from a very, very busy time, and I really appreciate that. And I'm sure eAssist Nation and all your eAssisters out there are going to enjoy this. So thank you again, and I just want to wish you and our audience a very good week, and let's stay in touch.
We hope that you have enjoyed this episode of the eAssist Dental Solutions podcast. We love to put the spotlight on the individuals for their outstanding work for our clients.